The engine was cold and the doors were locked from the inside. A county deputy stood in the gravel pull-off at mile marker 87 on Arizona State Route 95, squinting through the driver's window at an empty cab. The tractor was a Freightliner Cascadia, white, no company logo. The trailer behind it was a 53-foot dry van, also white, also unmarked. The sun was directly overhead. It was 104 degrees. The deputy's name was Ortega. He had been a cop for 9 years. He had never seen a truck like this. Engine off, keys in the ignition, doors locked, no driver. Her name was Maya Ruiz. She was 31. She had been hauling solo for 6 years. 3 things were wrong. The kingpin lock was engaged. The trailer was still coupled. The fuel gauge showed 3/4 full, and the ELD mounted on the dash displayed a duty status of off-duty, sleeper berth, with a timestamp of 11:47 p.m. the previous night. It was now 1:22 p.m. Maya had been off duty for 13 hours and 35 minutes, but the truck was parked on the shoulder of a state highway in the middle of the Arizona desert, 38 miles from the nearest town. Ortega radioed dispatch at 1:24 p.m. He used 4 words: locked. Occupied, no response. June 14, 2016. The highway stretched north and south in a straight line. No curves, no intersections, no rest areas for 20 miles in either direction. Ortega walked around the truck. The tires were inflated. The trailer doors were closed and sealed with a numbered plastic tag, 9214755. He checked the license plate. Arizona commercial registration. Valid through December 2016, he ran the plate. The truck was registered to a leasing company in Phoenix. The lessee, a small logistics firm called SurePath Freight, he called SurePath. A woman answered. This is Maricopa County Sheriff. You have a driver named Maya Ruiz? Yes, is she okay? I don't know. When did you last hear from her? She checked in yesterday at noon. She was hauling a load from Tucson to Las Vegas. Electronics, high-value freight. She was supposed to deliver this morning at 8. She never showed. What time was she supposed to arrive? 8 a.m. The receiver called us at 9. We tried her cell, no answer. We tried the truck's GPS. It showed her parked on State Route 95. We thought maybe she pulled over to sleep. Ortega looked at the truck. Your GPS is live? Yes, fleet tracking. Updates every 15 minutes. Can you pull her route history? Hold on. Keyboard clicks. Okay. She left Tucson yesterday at 10:18 a.m. She took Interstate 10 west, then State Route 95 north. Last movement was at 11:41 p.m. She pulled off the highway at mile marker 87. She hasn't moved since. Ortega checked his watch. 14 hours. Did she call anyone after 11:41? No calls logged, but her ELD shows she went off duty at 11:47. Ortega wrote in his notebook. Off duty, no movement, 14 hours. He walked to the passenger side. The door was locked. He cupped his hands and looked through the window. The sleeper berth curtain was drawn. He couldn't see inside. He pulled his baton and tapped the window. No response. He tapped harder. Nothing. He called for backup. A second deputy arrived at 1:51 p.m. They used a slim jim to unlock the passenger door. The lock popped. Ortega opened the door. Warm air spilled out. He climbed into the cab. The sleeper curtain was closed. He pulled it aside. The berth was empty, no sleeping bag, no pillow, no personal items. The mattress was bare. Ortega checked under the bunk. Nothing. He checked the overhead compartments. A duffel bag. He unzipped it. Clothes, 2 pairs of jeans, 3 t-shirts, underwear, socks. A toiletry kit. A phone charger. No phone. He climbed down. The second deputy, a man named Vega, was checking the trailer. Ortega joined him. They walked to the rear doors. The seal was intact. Ortega pulled his knife and cut it. The doors swung open. The trailer was empty, no pallets. No cargo, no load straps. The floor was clean, swept. The walls were unmarked. Ortega climbed inside. He walked to the front. He checked the ceiling, the corners, the seams, nothing. He climbed down. Vega was staring at the open doors. The manifest said electronics. Ortega nodded. Where's the load? Ortega didn't answer. He walked back to the cab. He checked the glove box. Registration, insurance card. A printed manifest dated June 13, 2016. Origin, a warehouse in Tucson. Destination, a distribution center in North Las Vegas. Load, 48 pallets of consumer electronics, tablets, laptops, monitors. Total declared value $840,000. Shipper signature illegible. Receiver signature blank. Seal number 9214755. Ortega looked at the seal number. It matched the tag on the doors. But the trailer was empty. He checked the manifest's second page. It listed a certified weight ticket from a truck scale in Tucson, timestamp 10:09 a.m. on June 13th. Gross weight, 68 ounce, 240 pounds. That was about right for a full load. He flipped to the third page, a supplemental fuel receipt from a truck stop in Quartzsite, Arizona, timestamped 3:47 p.m. on June 13th. She had bought diesel. She had driven north. And somewhere between Quartzsite and mile marker 87, 48 pallets of electronics had vanished. Ortega called SurePath. Your driver's load is gone. Silence. Then, gone? The trailer's empty. When was the last time someone verified the load? At the shipper. They sealed it. We don't break seals in transit unless there's an inspection. Who has keys to this truck? Just Maya and the fleet manager. But he's in Phoenix. Does Maya have a co-driver? A partner. No, solo. Ortega hung up. He looked at Vega. Run the shipper in Tucson. See if they reported anything unusual yesterday. Vega called the warehouse. The shipping supervisor confirmed the load had been packed and sealed at 9:52 a.m. on June 13th. The supervisor had watched Maya's truck pull away. No issues, no delays. Ortega requested the warehouse's security footage. The warehouse provided a link. Ortega watched the video on his phone. The footage showed Maya backing her trailer into the loading dock at 9:14 a.m. The dock door closed. 63 minutes later, the door opened and the trailer pulled away. The load was visible through the open dock door. 48 pallets shrink-wrapped, stacked 4 high. Ortega advanced the footage frame by frame. At 10:16 a.m., just after the trailer left, a second truck, a white box truck, no markings, pulled into the parking lot. The box truck idled near the exit for 2 minutes, then followed Maya's trailer out of the lot. Ortega froze the frame. He zoomed in on the box truck's license plate. It was angled away from the camera, unreadable. He called the warehouse supervisor. Did you see a white box truck in your lot yesterday morning? I don't think so. Why? It followed your driver out. Followed? Pulled out right after her. Same direction. The supervisor paused. We get a lot of trucks. I wouldn't have noticed. Ortega ended the call. He walked back to the trailer. He stood in the open doorway and looked at the floor. No scuff marks, no debris. No evidence of a load ever being inside. He climbed in and checked the walls again. Near the front, low on the left wall, he found a small metal bracket, the kind used to mount a cargo camera. The bracket was empty. The camera was gone. He climbed down. He called SurePath. Did this trailer have a cargo camera? Yes. Interior wireless camera. Streams to the ELD. Can you pull the footage? I'll check. Keyboard clicks. The camera went offline at 11:34 p.m. yesterday. Why? I don't know. Could be a dead battery. Could be someone disabled it. Can you tell me what the last frame showed? Hang on. More clicks. Last image at 11:33 p.m. The load is visible. 48 pallets shrink-wrapped. Everything looks normal. Send me that image. The dispatcher emailed a screenshot. Ortega opened it on his phone. The cargo camera had captured a wide-angle view of the trailer interior. The pallets were stacked neatly. The shrink-wrap was intact. The timestamp read 11:33:47 p.m. Ortega checked his timeline. The truck had pulled off the highway at 11:41 p.m. The camera went offline at 11:34 p.m. 7 minutes. In that window, something had happened. He called a tow truck. The tractor was impounded at 4:16 p.m. The trailer was stored in a county yard near Yuma. Ortega requested a forensic team. They arrived at 6:03 p.m. They dusted the cab for prints. They found Maya's prints on the steering wheel, the door handle, the ELD screen. They found one partial print on the passenger side armrest, a thumbprint smaller than Maya's. The print didn't match any database. They checked the trailer. No prints on the interior walls. No prints on the floor. The trailer had been wiped. Ortega requested toll records and weigh station data. Arizona DOT provided 2 hits. The first, a way station near Gila Bend, timestamped 2:14 p.m. on June 13th. The truck had been weighed. Gross weight 68 to 180 pounds, consistent with a full load. The scale operator's notes indicated no violations. The second, a way station near Quartzsite, timestamped 3:52 p.m. on June 13th, 5 minutes after the fuel purchase. The truck had been weighed again. Gross weight 31,040 pounds. Ortega did the math. The tractor weighed about 18,000 pounds. The empty trailer weighed about 13,000 pounds. Together, 31,000 pounds. Add fuel and driver, 31,940 pounds. The truck had been weighed without the load. At 3:52 p.m. on June 13th, the trailer was already empty. Ortega called the Quartzsite weigh station. The operator checked the records. "Yeah, I remember this. Driver said she needed an empty weight for a new route. Paid the fee. Took her ticket and left. Did you see the inside of the trailer? No doors were closed. Did you see anyone else with her?" "No, she was alone. Did another vehicle follow her out?" "I wasn't watching. But we had a white box truck come through about 10 minutes later. No scale, just rolled past. Ortega hung up. He looked at his timeline, 10:16 a.m. Maya leaves Tucson warehouse with full load. White box truck follows. 2:14 p.m. Maya weighs truck at Gila Bend. Full load, 68,180 pounds. 3:47 p.m. Maya buys fuel in Quartzsite. 3:52 p.m. Maya weighs truck at Quartzsite. Empty load 31,940 pounds. 11:33 p.m. Cargo camera goes offline. Last image shows full load. 11:41 p.m. Truck stops at mile marker 87. No movement since. The timeline didn't make sense. At 3:52 p.m. the truck was weighed empty. But at 11:33 p.m. the cargo camera showed a full load. That meant the load had been reloaded between Quartzsite and mile marker 87. But where? And why unload it again? Ortega requested footage from the fuel stop in Quartzsite. The truck stop provided security video. The footage showed Maya's truck pulling into the fuel island at 3:46 p.m. Maya stepped out. She swiped her fuel card. She filled the tank. She walked into the convenience store and bought a bottled water and a protein bar. She returned to the truck at 3:51 p.m. She climbed into the cab. The truck pulled out at 3:53 p.m. Ortega watched the footage 3 times. He saw no second person, but at the edge of the frame, parked near the scale house, he saw a white box truck. The truck's rear doors were closed. The license plate was angled away from the camera. At 4:03 p.m., the white box truck pulled out and followed Maya's truck north on State Route 95. Ortega requested security footage from every business along State Route 95 between Quartzsite and mile marker 87. Most businesses had no cameras. One gas station, 32 miles north of Quartzsite, had a single camera aimed at the fuel pumps. The footage showed Maya's truck passing by at 6:11 p.m. The white box truck passed 2 minutes later. Ortega called the Arizona Department of Transportation. He requested traffic camera footage from State Route 95. ADOT had 3 cameras along that stretch. The first camera, near mile marker 62, showed Maya's truck passing north at 5:49 p.m. The white box truck passed at 5:51 p.m. The second camera, near mile marker 74, showed both vehicles passing north at 6:23 p.m. The third camera, near mile marker 89, showed Maya's truck passing south at 7:47 p.m. Ortega stopped the playback. South? She had been heading north. But at 7:47 p.m. she was heading south, past mile marker 87, the spot where her truck would eventually be found. He advanced the footage. At 7:51 p.m., the white box truck passed south at mile marker 89. It was following her again. Ortega called SurePath. Did Maya have any reason to turn around yesterday evening? No. Her route was straight north. Quartzsite to Las Vegas. Your GPS shows any turnarounds. Hang on. Keyboard clicks. Yes. At 7:39 p.m. she was at mile marker 94. She stopped for 4 minutes. Then she turned south. She drove back to mile marker 87 and stopped. That's where she is now. Ortega wrote in his notebook. Turn around at 94. Stop at 87. He requested a ground search of mile marker 94. A highway maintenance crew checked the area the next morning. They found nothing unusual. No debris, no tire marks, no signs of a stop. But 50 feet off the shoulder, behind a cluster of creosote bushes, they found a cargo strap. The strap was industrial grade, 20 feet long, rated for 5,000 pounds. One end was frayed, the other end was cleanly cut. Ortega bagged the strap. He called ShorePath. "Did your driver carry cargo straps?" "Yes, standard equipment. 4 straps per trailer. Can you check if any are missing?" The fleet manager drove to the impound yard. He checked the trailer. 3 straps were coiled and hanging on the interior wall. 1 was missing. Ortega returned to mile marker 87. He stood where Maya's truck had been parked. He looked north. Mile marker 94 was 7 miles away. He looked south. The highway stretched flat and empty. At this time of day, late afternoon, the sun would have been low, casting long shadows across the pavement. A driver heading south would see any parked vehicle a mile away. He walked the shoulder. At the edge of the gravel, near a weathered mile marker post, he found a single boot print. The print was small, maybe a women's size 8. The tread pattern matched the boots Maya had been issued by ShorePath. The print pointed toward the highway, not away. She had been standing here, facing the road. Ortega photographed the print. He walked farther south. 20 feet from the mile marker, he found a second print. Same size, same tread. This print was deeper, as if she had been standing still, putting her weight forward. He looked at the angle. She had been looking south, watching the highway. He returned to the truck. He checked the ELD again. The duty log showed June 13, 2016, 10:14 a.m. On duty, pre-trip inspection. 10:22 a.m., driving 11:47 p.m., off-duty, sleeper berth. The log showed no stops between 10:22 a.m. and 11:47 p.m. But the GPS data showed she had stopped multiple times. Fuel in Quartzsite. Way station, mile marker 94. The ELD wasn't recording correctly, or someone had edited it. Ortega called the ELD manufacturer. A technician reviewed the device remotely. The unit shows no tampering, but the driver can manually mark stops as personal use, which exempts them from the duty log. If she marked her stops that way, they wouldn't appear in the official record. Can you tell if she marked them? Yes, hold on. Keyboard clicks. She marked 3 stops as personal use. 2:14 p.m. at Gila Bend, 3:47 p.m. at Quartzsite, and 7:39 p.m. at mile marker 94. Why would she do that? Could be a lot of reasons. Some drivers mark stops to avoid DOT scrutiny. Some do it to stay off the grid. Ortega hung up. He opened the evidence file. He reread the manifest. At the bottom of the 3rd page, in the margin, someone had written a phone number in pencil. 555-847 Kai. The last 4 digits were smudged, illegible. He photographed the number. He ran a trace. The area code, 555, was reserved for fictional use. The number didn't exist. Ortega called the FBI. The case was transferred to a cargo theft unit. Agents interviewed employees at the Tucson warehouse. One worker, a loader named Campos, said he had seen a white box truck in the lot on June 13th. The truck had idled near the exit for a few minutes, then left. Campos didn't think much of it. Box trucks came and went all the time. The FBI reviewed the warehouse footage again. They enhanced the image of the white box truck. The rear doors had a small dent on the left panel, shaped like a handprint, as if someone had pushed the door hard. The dent was distinctive. The FBI issued a bulletin. White box truck, no markings, dent on left rear door. In August 2016, a highway patrol officer in Nevada stopped a white box truck near Mesquite for a broken tail light. The truck had a dent on the left rear door. The officer ran the plate. The truck was registered to a rental company in Las Vegas. The renter, a man named Cole Vinson. The officer checked Vinson's license, valid, no warrants. The officer issued a warning and let him go. The FBI tracked Vinson. He had rented the truck on June 12, 2016, and returned it on June 15th. The rental agreement listed his address as a motel in North Las Vegas. The FBI visited the motel. Vinson had checked out on June 16th. He left no forwarding address. The motel clerk remembered him. Quiet guy, kept to himself, paid cash. The FBI requested Vinson's phone records. He had used a prepaid cell. The phone had been activated on June 10, 2016, and deactivated on June 17. Call logs showed 11 outgoing calls, all to the same number, a second prepaid cell. That phone had also been deactivated on June 17. The FBI traced the second phone. It had been used to call a third number on June 13 at 7:52 p.m. The call lasted 14 seconds. The third number belonged to Maya Ruiz. The FBI reviewed Maya's phone records. She had received the call at 7:52 p.m. on June 13. She answered. The call lasted 14 seconds. She did not make or receive any other calls that day. At 11:41 p.m., her phone's GPS signal disappeared. The last known location, mile marker 87, State Route 95. In October 2016, a hiker in the Kofa National Wildlife Refuge, 43 miles west of mile marker 87, found a cell phone in a dry wash. The phone was damaged, the screen cracked. The SIM card was missing. The FBI recovered the phone. The serial number matched Maya's phone. The battery was dead. The internal memory was intact. The FBI extracted the data. The phone contained one unsent text message, timestamped 11:46 p.m. on June 13, 2016. The message was addressed to Maya's sister. It read, "I have proof. The load was never real. It was switched at the warehouse. I documented everything. If something happens, check the weight tickets. The second one will show the truth. I'm meeting him at 87 to get the camera footage. If I don't call by midnight, go to the police. M." The FBI searched for the second weight ticket. They reviewed all scale receipts from Maya's route. They found 3 tickets, one from Gila Bend, full load, one from Quartzsite, empty, and a third from a commercial scale in Parker, Arizona, timestamped 6:47 p.m. on June 13th. The third ticket showed a gross weight of 190 pounds, a full load. The FBI called the Parker scale operator. The operator checked the records. "Yeah, she came through. Said she needed a second full-weight verification for insurance. Paid cash. Left. Did you see the load?" "No, doors were closed, but the weight matched a full load, so I didn't question it." "Did you see anyone else with her?" "No. But a white box truck pulled in right after she left. The driver asked for directions to Las Vegas." The FBI reviewed traffic cameras near Parker. At 6:52 p.m., Maya's truck passed north on State Route 95. At 6:54 p.m., the white box truck followed. The timeline now read 10:16 a.m. Maya leaves Tucson with full load. Box truck follows. 2:14 p.m. Maya weighs full load at Gila Bend. 3:52 p.m. Maya weighs empty at Quartzsite. 6:47 p.m. Maya weighs full load at Parker. 7:39 p.m. Maya stops at mile marker 94. GPS shows turnaround. 7:47 p.m. Traffic camera shows Maya heading south. 7:52 p.m. Maya receives 14-second call. 11:41 p.m. Maya's truck stops at mile marker 87. 11:46 p.m. Maya writes unsent text. 11:47 p.m. ELD shows off-duty. The FBI concluded the load had been unloaded in Quartzsite and reloaded somewhere between Quartzsite and Parker. The cargo, camera's last frame at 11:33 p.m. showed a full load, but that load was fake. The real load had been stolen in Quartzsite. The fake load, likely empty boxes wrapped to look like electronics, had been placed in the trailer to fool anyone who checked. Maya had discovered the swap. She had documented it with weight tickets. And she had agreed to meet someone at mile marker 87 to exchange evidence. But she never sent the text, and she never made it to midnight. The FBI traced Cole Vinson. He had no prior arrests, no known associates, no criminal record. But his rental history showed he had rented the same white box truck 3 times in May 2016, always for 3-day periods, always returned with extra mileage. The FBI requested surveillance footage from the rental lot. The footage showed Vinson arriving each time with a second man, tall, wearing a baseball cap and sunglasses. The second man never entered the rental office. He waited in a sedan parked across the street. The FBI enhanced the footage. The sedan's license plate was visible. The plate traced to a leasing company in Phoenix, the same company that leased Maya's tractor. The FBI raided the leasing company's office. Financial records showed the company had filed an insurance claim on June 15, 2016, for a stolen trailer, Maya's trailer. The claim valued the lost cargo at $840,000. The insurance company had paid out $680,000 after a 6-month investigation. The FBI interviewed the leasing company's owner, a man named Durbin. Durbin admitted he had known Maya. He had hired her in 2010. He said she was reliable, professional, never caused trouble. He denied any knowledge of cargo theft. He provided an alibi for June 13th. He had been in Scottsdale at a golf tournament. The alibi was verified, but the FBI found irregularities in Durbin's financial records. Between May and July 2016, Durbin had received 3 wire transfers totaling $920,000 from an offshore account in the Cayman Islands. The account belonged to a shell corporation with no listed officers. The FBI froze Durbin's accounts. Durbin hired a lawyer and stopped cooperating. The investigation stalled. In March 2017, a flash flood in the Kofa refuge exposed a shallow grave. Authorities recovered human remains, skeletal, mostly intact. Forensic analysis identified the remains as Maya Ruiz. Cause of death: blunt force trauma to the skull. Time of death: consistent with June 13, 2016. The grave was 37 miles from mile marker 87. Near the grave, investigators found a shattered cargo camera, the same model used in Maya's trailer. The camera's memory card was missing. In June 2017, Cole Vinson was arrested in Utah on an unrelated fraud charge. During questioning, he admitted he had been hired in May 2016 to shadow a truck and retrieve a load if it went missing. He said he had been paid $15,000 by a man he knew only as Reed. Vinson said Reed had called him on June 13th and told him to follow Maya's truck from Tucson. Vinson followed her to Quartzsite. Reed met him there. They unloaded the electronics into the box truck. They reloaded Maya's trailer with empty boxes. Reed told Vinson to follow Maya north and make sure she didn't stop anywhere she shouldn't. Vinson said Maya stopped at mile marker 94. Reed told Vinson to wait. Reed drove a sedan to mile marker 94 and spoke with Maya. They argued. Maya drove south to mile marker 87. Reed followed. Vinson followed Reed. At mile marker 87, Reed pulled over and spoke with Maya again. Vinson stayed in the box truck. He said he saw Maya and Reed standing by her truck. He heard raised voices. Then Reed walked back to his sedan. He drove away. Maya's truck stayed parked. Vinson left and returned the box truck the next day. Vinson said he never saw Maya after that night. He said Reed called him once more on June 16th and told him to forget everything. Vinson agreed. He was paid an additional $5,000. The FBI asked Vinson to describe Reed. Vinson said Reed was in his 50s, gray hair, about 6 feet tall. He drove a black sedan. He spoke with a slight accent, maybe East Coast. The FBI showed Vinson a photo of Durbin. Vinson said it wasn't Reed. The FBI never identified Reed. Durbin died of a heart attack in November 2017. The Shell Corporation dissolved. The offshore account was emptied. The case remained open. In December 2025, 9 years after Maya disappeared, a road crew resurfacing, State Route 95 near mile marker 87, found a metal lockbox buried 18 inches below the shoulder. Inside the box, a cargo camera memory card, a handwritten ledger, and a USB drive. The memory card contained footage from Maya's trailer on June 13, 2016. The footage showed the trailer being unloaded in Quartzsite by 2 men, one matching Vinson's description, the other matching the description of Reed. The ledger listed dates, routes, and dollar amounts, evidence of a cargo theft ring operating since 2014. The USB drive contained scanned copies of weight tickets, fuel receipts, and GPS logs, all annotated in Maya's handwriting. The FBI reviewed the evidence. The ledger implicated 4 individuals, including Durbin, but Durbin was dead. Vinson was serving time in Utah. Reed was never found. The 4th individual, a warehouse supervisor in Tucson, was arrested in January 2026 and charged with conspiracy to commit cargo theft. The supervisor cooperated. He confirmed the scheme. High-value loads were swapped at the warehouse with fake loads. The real loads were sold to black market buyers. The drivers were paid to stay silent or eliminated if they refused. Maya had refused. She had documented the theft. She had threatened to go to the police. Reed was sent to stop her. The supervisor said Reed's real name was Dennis Kalb. Kalb had worked as a logistics consultant. He had no criminal record. He had disappeared in July 2016. A warrant was issued. Kalb has never been found. Maya's family held a memorial service in Tucson in February 2026. Her sister spoke. She said Maya had called her on June 12, 2016, the day before she disappeared, and said she had discovered something wrong with her load. Maya told her sister she was going to document it and report it to the authorities. Her sister begged her to walk away. Maya said she couldn't. After the service, Ortega approached Maya's sister. He handed her a photograph. It showed Maya standing beside her truck at a way station, arms crossed, smiling. In the background, a white box truck was parked 2 lanes over. The sister took the photograph. She studied it. She thanked Ortega and left. The tractor Maya drove that night was sold at auction in 2018. A small trucking company in Nevada bought it and used it for local hauls. The odometer rolled past 900,000 miles in 2024. The truck is still in service. The trailer was scrapped in 2019. The lockbox Maya buried at mile marker 87 was entered into evidence. The FBI closed the case in March 2026. They concluded Maya had been murdered by Dennis Kalb on the night of June 13, 2016, after she refused to hand over the evidence she had collected. Kalb buried her body in the desert and destroyed the cargo camera, but he didn't know Maya had hidden a second copy of the evidence, buried it at the exact spot where her truck would be found. If you drive State Route 95 north through Arizona, you'll pass mile marker 87. There's nothing there now but gravel and creosote. But on certain June nights, when the desert air is still and the stars are bright, drivers say they see a single set of headlights parked on the shoulder, hazards off, engine cold. They never see the driver.